The apparel company American Eagle is facing backlash over a new ad campaign featuring actor Sweeney. It's over this line.
But if you said that you want to buy the jeans, I'm not going to stop you. But just so we're clear, this is not me telling you to buy American Eagle jeans.
Sweeney has very keen.
You see what I did there, right?
If you didn't catch it, it's a play on words, jeans as in denim, but also as in genetics. Critics are calling that tone deaf. They accuse the brand of using a white, blue-eyed celebrity to make a subtle reference to eugenics at a time when diversity programs in the United States are under attack. Others say it's just a cheeky pun and the backlash is overblown. Neither Sweeney nor American Eagle has responded. Our next guest is the Associate Dean of Marketing Management at the British Columbia Institute of Technology. Morgan Westcott joins us now. And Morgan, what do you think of this ad?
It's so funny that you just captured the two sentiments about this ad. One, the backlash in terms of what does this mean about values and equity and diversity, and one about this is a clever pun. I have to say, as a consumer and a mom and a person, I thought it was just a clever pun. But I think that most brands are savvy enough to know when they're doing something a little bit edgy. And maybe it was partially intentional. We're talking about it on the nightly news, and that's something that brands also strive for. American Eagle wasn't super relevant to me or other people even a week ago, and now it seems my entire feed is just full of this conversation.
That's so interesting. Also interesting that you do see it primarily as kind of a cheeky pun. Some of the critics have said that this ad, even though it's supposed to be selling jeans to women, appears to be aimed at the male gaze, as has been said in some of that criticism. What do you think of that?
As someone who studies marketing and teaches marketing, I think we talk a lot about who the target audience is. And when I think of American Eagle, their target audience is teenagers. And so I certainly would not be compelled to buy jeans based on these ads, but I am not American Eagle's target market. And so when I think of teenagers and I look at some of the statistics and some of the research, it's a classic. Teenagers like to be rebellious. They like to go against the grain. They like things that are a little bit edgy, and they like things that might annoy or bother their parents or the mainstream. So in that sense, I don't think there's anything super innovative here. When we're trying to appeal to teens, sometimes that kind of provocative ad works. It worked in the 90s, and this target audience wasn't around for Calvin Klein and the first iteration of sex selling jeans. To me, it's kind of a recycled concept.
Okay, so for people who are not as old as I am, and maybe not as old as you are, it's interesting that you've made the Calvin Klein reference. I wouldn't think you would remember that ad. But for those who are curious, they can Google it. But yes, there was a time when sex was definitely used to try to sell jeans to people. There's a feeling among the critics of the ad that it reflects a shift in advertising culture in the United States, perhaps driven by the politics of the United States. Do you think that's the case?
I think it's worth having a conversation about, advertising, promotions, marketing. I really feel like marketing reflects culture, and it also sets culture. And so there is a narrative in the United States, kind of a nostalgia, a bit of a retro feeling for a time that I will say never existed. But I also don't want to give more credit than is due. I get really nervous when I see things like, the equity and diversity and inclusion is dead, and we shouldn't be including it in our marketing, because that's not been my experience as a marketer. And I remember showing my students case studies in 2016 of Colin Kaepernick and Nike, and all of the social media fallout and backlash, and predominantly white teenagers burning their Nikes and asking my students, like, oh, wow, did Nike make a mistake here? And my students were able to pick up pretty quickly that that's not their target audience. Nike knew what they were doing, and the tagline was believe in something, even if it means sacrificing everything. They were very deliberate in their choices, and I think we're going to continue to see marketers that want to advance these issues and want to tie themselves to causes despite what might be happening in the US or what might feel like an overwhelming culture shift. I almost don't want to give it that kind of credit. Other kinds of campaigns are still going to find a voice.
We literally only have 30 seconds left, but do you think in Canada there's been any big cultural shift when it comes to advertising?
If anything, I think it's the opposite. So I think of Molson and Say Her Name and what a brilliant campaign that was, supporting women's professional hockey, getting the names of female athletes out there, supporting local hockey, and yes, getting people to buy more beer and watch more hockey. So I think that Canada, we have our own vibe, we have our own target audiences, we have our own personalities, and I think we're going to see more like the Molson Say Her Name up here as we continue to distinguish ourselves from our American counterparts.
So nice getting your perspective, Morgan. Morgan Westcott, Associate Dean of Marketing Management at the British Columbia Institute of Technology.